नाम गाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहार विहारकादिविदितं जतन्तं.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I want to welcome everyone this morning here from Hamilton, Canada. It's 10 a.m. and wherever you are in the world, this is a global broadcast by the Prabhupada Disciples Association. And I think if you've had a chance to go on the social medias, if you do, you might see our new logo that we've designed to identify us and our position as Prabhupada disciples, and focused on his unadulterated books, and also focused on him as Diksha and Siksha Guru. This is the philosophical position that our group has in approaching Krishna consciousness as the science of self-realization. This is a transcendental process. So today, we're going to carry on with the reading of the diary of Srila Prabhupada. And we've come to the end of the first section here, the Jaladuta diary. And as you know, Prabhupada did experience some health trouble on the journey. And he did write 2 poems during his trip across the ocean from Calcutta to New York City. And we'll read the first poem today. It was composed on September 13th, 1965, Prayers to the Lotus Feet of Krishna. Translation. I emphatically say to you, just go down there. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priya Ati Krishna Sebai Jara Tula Nal Sei Se Mohanta Guru Jagater Madhe Uru Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tat Tai Tai. Translation. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world. Tara Icha Balavan Prayashyate Tan Tan Hoy Jate Gorangair Nam Prithiviti Nagarati Asa Mudra Nada Nadi Sakale Toy Krishna Nam. Translation. By his strong desire, the holy names of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world. In all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams, everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. Quite prophetic. Tahali Ananda Hoy Tabe Hoy Digvijay Chaitanya Kripa Atisai Maya Dushta Jatak Duke Jagatesh Shabe Suke Vaishnavra Icha Purna Hoy. Translation. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental ecstasy will certainly cover the land. When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnava's desire is then fulfilled. Se karja jay koripari, agna jadi dilomori, yogya nahi andina hina, tai se tomara kripa, majitechi anurupa, aji numi sabar pravina. Translation. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, I am not worthy or fit to do it. I am very fallen and insignificant. Therefore, O Lord, now I'm begging your mercy so that I may become worthy, for you are the wisest and most experienced of all. Tomara se shaki pele gurus se baya bastu mile, jebana sartak jadi hoy, jay sevas se seva pale, tahali suki hale, tabasanga bhagi yate miloy. Translation. Prabhupada speaking here his internal feelings of Krishna consciousness in solitude on the Jaladuta. If you bestow your power by serving the spiritual master, one attains the absolute truth. One's life becomes successful. If that service is obtained, then one becomes happy and gets your association due to good fortune. Evam janam nipatitam prabhava hik kupe kama bhikana nam anu ya prajapatam prashangagat kritva masat sarangsina bhagavang grihita soham katam na vishrije tava britya sevam. Translation. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes following the general populace. But your servant, Narada Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Prahlad Maharaj to Nrsingadev, Bhagavatam 7:9, chapter 7, volume 9, volume 7, chapter 9, text 28. Kumi mor chira sati bulia mayar lati koyachi janma janma tare jai punna suyoga jadi hoy jaga yoga tabe pari tu he mili bhare. Translation. O Lord Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Forgetting you, I have suffered the kicks of Maya, birth after birth. If today the chance to meet you occurs again, then I will surely be able to rejoin you. Translation. Tomara milani bahi abur se suka pai gocharani guri din bior katabank bani chuta chuti bani kai utaputi sei din kabe habe more. O dear friend, in your company I will experience great joy once again. In the early morning I will wander about the coward pastures and fields, running and frolicking in the many forests of Braja. I will roll on the ground in spiritual ecstasy. Oh, when will that day be mine? Ajase Subi Tane Tomara Smarana Bela Baro Asa Dakilam Tai Ami Tomara Nicha Dasa Tai Kori Etad Asha Tume Bina Anyagati Noi. Translation. Today that remembrance of you came to me to be a very nice way, because I have a great longing. I called to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much. O Lord Krishna, except for you, there is no other means of success. So very profound, deep philosophical insight into the level of Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada has attained back then in September 13th of 1965 on the Jaladuta boat. We're going to move forward here further, get some deeper understandings or familiarity with Srila Prabhupada's writing. We're going to have our God brother Venkat Prabhu read from the Vaishnava.
Yeah, okay, buddy. I'm right here with him.
Oh, excuse me. I thought I heard something. Yeah. We're going to have him read ahead from the, what was the volume that you're reading from, brother?
This is called Srila Prabhupada's League of Devotees Prospectus.
Yes. Okay. So please go ahead. We'll read a short section from the prospectus. So listen carefully, everyone.
Okay. Yes, we're continuing our reading. Now we're reading page 8.
Yes.
The human form of life is a chance to realize this fact. So let me just read this sentence. Previous class. Having forgotten that transcendental relation, eternally fixed up, the living entity struggling for existence in the material world, bewildered with the result that in every step of life he is baffled in his attempt to become a happy creature. He does not know that such material attempt for existence will never be successful, and it is only by divine attempt that one can eternally be free from the bondage of birth, death, and insufficiency. The human form of life is a chance to realize this fact. The human being now must therefore try to know his relation with the absolute truth. He must now learn to spend up his energy in accordance with that eternal relation, and ultimately must attain to the highest perfection of life by achieving the spontaneous love of Godhead. The present state of perverted love for material products is only sense gratification, but spontaneous love of Godhead is real transcendental existence. Such love of Godhead can bring in real happiness for the human being. If the human being wastes the opportunity of the human form of life, he is sure to go down again in the cycle of animal evolutionary process in search of false material happiness.
Mm.
The League of Devotees, therefore, stands to save the human being at large from going down again in the cycle of animal life, and wants to raise him to the position of transcendental loving servitor of Godhead, which is his eternal birthright, as he is the divine child of Godhead. The League of Devotees, after deliberate consideration of authoritative scriptures for spiritual science, has put forward the following aims and objects in view for the society. A. To propagate spiritual knowledge systematically for checking the imbalance of life to the whole race of India and the world over, with a view to educate the people in general in the techniques of spiritual life as the basis for balanced psychic and biological developments of the human race, and thereby achieve real unity and peace of the contending elements of the present world. B. To build up a social structure on the foundation of spiritual progress and establishment of peace and amity between man and man throughout the whole world. C. To propagate the sense of Godhead, who is one and the absolute, who is the fountainhead of all opulence, all powers, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all indifference, who is the creator of everything that is visible and not visible in the manifested world or beyond, who is therefore the original protector and enjoyer of everything that be, everywhere in the greater society of the human race. D. To bring together members individually to one another and nearer to Godhead, who is the prime entity, and the individual souls are infinitesimal entities and humanity at large, that individual souls being part and parcels in quality of Godhead, the absolute whole, they, the individual souls, are meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Soul, Godhead, as it is revealed in the scriptures. E. To save man individually from the system of chained victimization by the trend of modern civilization of false sentiments, so that man may again be a free soul to act and live freely, an inspired life with spiritual vision. This is possible by individual spiritual initiation through the proper channel, when a man can see everything in Godhead and Godhead in everything. F. To imbibe and develop in the mind of the individual soul the all-attractive personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in his primeval and eternal form, as he has revealed himself in his own words, the Bhagavad-gītā. He has to be known all over the world in the manner as revealed by Lord Chaitanya, who practically demonstrated the transcendental process of approaching the absolute Godhead by his acts of congregational chanting of the holy name of Godhead. There is nothing in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya which is not intelligible by human reasonings or is against any religious feeling accepted by the civilized society of the world. G. To prove it practically by active work and preaching that Sri Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the outcome of everyone's sacrifice, penance, meditation, arts, culture, science, because he is the supreme proprietor of the whole universe and eternal friend of everybody. Real peace is possible to be attained when this is realized in fact. Such supramundane state of existence is called divine life. This supramental state of divine life is described in the Ishopanishad as follows. Ishabhashyam idam sarvam jatkinchit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magritaha kaschit dhanam. So if you like, we can...
How many more are there?
There's a lot, actually. The rest of the...
the H's. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, we'll finish there, but very, very detailed. And just so everyone knows, it appears that Prabhupada did use some of the essence of these principles when he formed the ISKCON movement in 1966. So when we move forward with our study here in our group, we'll go to that original constitution that Prabhupada designed and in New York City back then, and get an understanding of his broad vision. He was seeing into the future, how he should act in the service of Lord Chaitanya and in the mission of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And we should also, try to emulate the same vision as we propagate the Prabhupada Disciples Association globally. That's our mission. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, before the class, we're going to have the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers sung by Srila Prabhupada. So, Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Praise Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridharadhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ramai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled Lord.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Hare Bo. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhuto.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gohurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Nama Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to this reading from the original, non-adulterated, non-edited Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. We will be reading from the original 1972 Macmillan edition, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. We're reading from chapter 7, text number 26 on page 401. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kaschana. Veda, no. Aham, I. Sama, equally. Atitani, past. Vartamanani, present. Cha, and. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Bhavishyani, future. Cha, also. Bhutani, living entities. Mam, may. To, but. Veda, knows. Na, not. Kaschana, anyone. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered by the impersonalists to be Maya, to be material, then he would, like the living entity, change his body and forget everything in his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. Unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. In the 4th chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivaswan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in every living being's heart as the supersoul, as the supreme soul. But despite his presence in every living entity as supersoul and his presence beyond the material sky as the supreme personality of Godhead, the less intelligent cannot realize him as the supreme person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like the cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is the sun and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. As it is stated in the 3rd verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life. And out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness. Text 27. Ichadvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Icha, desire, dvesha, hate, samuttena, born, dvandva, duality, mohena, overcome, bharata, or sign of Bharata, sarva, all, bhutani, living entities, sammoham, into delusion, sarge, in creation, yanti, go, parantapa, O conqueror of enemies. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O scion of Bharata, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcomes the dualities of desire and hate. Purport. The real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not so deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies. But those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, women and men, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife, These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with a torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad-vandanam khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this text number 26, as explained by Srila Prabhupada, is a very important verse. Krishna is describing here, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I know all living entities, but me, no one knows. The Sanskrit word, mam tu veda na kaścana. In other words, to understand Krishna is not so cheap. Several times, many places in Prabhupada's teachings, in various purports, in his books, in his conversations, in his lectures, he's explained that a person can only understand Krishna by getting the mercy and the favor of a pure devotee, a completely, fully realized, perfectly pure devotee of Krishna. Now, this is an important point, because there is a misunderstanding sometimes. Some persons who may be highly educated or scholarly or academically proficient, they think they can understand Krishna or the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā or the Vedas by study, by jnana, by cultivation of knowledge. Of course, one can understand up to a certain point, but the actual meaning of the Vedas, the actual meaning of the Shastras or the scriptures can only be understood by the mercy of a pure devotee. I've often given the example that is described in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santasadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That one's eyes are smeared, prema, anjana. Just like ladies, sometimes they put this special cream in the eyes to make the eyes look very beautiful, this anjana. But that anjana that a person needs to understand Krishna is called prema anjana, that love of Godhead. It is not merely sentiment or emotion, but a fact, a factual, deep realization. Premanjana, the very important point. And what will be the result of that premanjana is that one will understand the exact, complete position of Lord Krishna. Here, Krishna is revealing his position. And Prabhupada is explaining here that those who are impersonalists cannot understand the position of Krishna. They deride Krishna. If we look back in one verse, the last verse, text number 25, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. That I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my eternal creative potency, yoga maya. So in other words, for those who do not accept Krishna, do not accept the bona fide disciplic succession of pure, realized, perfect acharyas coming from Krishna, those individuals will never understand, despite their erudition, their scholarship, their academic achievement, or their knowledge of Sanskrit or different languages. Krishna consciousness doesn't depend upon knowledge of Sanskrit or knowledge of this and that. No. We see also in a Brahma Samhita, Krishna is describing, Lord Brahma is describing, Vedeshu Durlabham, that it is very difficult to understand the personality of Krishna simply by studying the Vedas. But Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, those who are confidential devotees, Atma Bhakto, they can understand. Because we are reading Bhagavad-gītā, and all of you know the impersonalists have got all these different interpretations for every verse in the Bhagavad-gītā, totally the other way around. We have seen this when many times individuals discuss various controversies. There is different perspective, different viewpoints, and many individuals are not able to understand the facts, the truth. They will keep arguing without realizing the facts, without knowing the truth. Here, Prabhupada is giving very, very clear instruction. If we look at the last sentence on page 4001, Srila Prabhupada says, unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what has happened in the past, what has happened in the present, and what will happen in the future. In the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna describes, Sarvasya chaham riddhi sannivishtaha, that I am within the heart of every living entity. Certain religionists have a misconception that God is present only in the heart of the human being, that he is not present in the heart of the animal, that the animals have no soul. This is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Poor fund of knowledge. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā in chapter 2, when Krishna begins his instruction to Arjuna, Dehinosmin yata dehi kaumaram yovanam jara, tata dihantara praptiya dhiras tatra namuhyati. That only a person who is a dhira, self-control, only that kind of a person is not bewildered by this change of body. In order to avoid this bewilderment, Prabhupada is nicely describing here in text number 27, he is very nicely describing what is that duality, what is that bewilderment. Prabhupada explains, such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, miseries and happiness, women and men, good and bad, pleasure and pain, thinking, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I'm the master of this house, I'm the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, what do we see in Bhagavad-gītā? When we go back to this very important chapter number 2, that text number 13, what does Krishna tell Arjuna in the next text? In text number 14, chapter 2, Text number 14. After explaining to Arjuna that dhiras tatra namuhyati, text number 13, the self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, well, the next question will be, well, what does the self-realized soul think? What does he do? That is nicely explained in text number 14. Matras parshastu kaunteya, shitoshna shuka dukkadaha, agama payano nityastam sthitiksasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Now, this is very important, because this is the beginning of Krishna's instruction to Arjuna, that you have to learn to tolerate it. What example does he give? It's an example that everybody on this call will know. Just like we have our friend in South India, Ratiyatra Prabhu and his good wife. Now in India, in that location where he is, near Kodaikanal in the mountains between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, there is a monsoon season. The monsoon season, what happens when you're on a mountain, like where they are or where I am here, it's different than in flat areas. The rain, the precipitation can be very intense and very heavy. All you can do is ask Ratiyatra what happens during monsoon, and he's going to tell you it comes down pretty heavy, very heavy. Same thing when you live on top of a mountain. The clouds are right on top. Can you change that? No. Can you call some scientists and say, I don't want the clouds like that. This is too much snow. This is too much rain. It's too much disturbance. No. The summer will come, it will get hot. In Central California, in the Central Valley, sometimes it gets 110, 115 degrees in the summer. Very hot. Can you change it? Call the weather department and say, please change that. It's too hot. Nope. We have this described before. This is called Adi-daivika klesha. I've often joked that Indra and Vayu, the demigods in charge of the rain and the wind, are very busy in many parts of the world. Why so many disturbances? Why is there too much rain in some places? Why is there lack of rain in some other places? Right now in America, there's a place in the southern part of the country, in Mississippi, where they've had tornadoes. 25 people died yesterday. Did anybody pray, oh, my dear Krishna, dear God, please send us a nice tornado. Let's see how that feels. No, nobody wants that. But one person has to learn to tolerate these conditions. Similarly, we see so many disturbances in human society. There are so many situations that one cannot change, and one has to learn by hearing from a bona fide acharya. Iti shushrumadhiranam. What is the truth? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Tat paratvena nirmanam. Rishikesha rishikena sevana bhaktiruchyate. Bhakti means that one has to become free. Sarva upadi. All of these different designations that Srila Prabhupada is describing here. I am man, I'm woman, husband, wife, this is mine, this is Maya. This is all Maya. This is illusion. This is the power of the illusory energy in the material world of thinking. That I am this body, everything belongs to me, this is my property, big illusion. And don't think that this cannot happen just because somebody puts on a dhoti or a sari and put a tilak on their head. No, it happens. In 1978, one of the leading members of the GBC made a statement, this is my money, this is my temple, this is my disciples, and I can do whatever I want with it. Talk about Maya. What is the difference between that mentality and the mentality of a materialistic man? Vishwakarma Prabhu just read this poetry of Srila Prabhupada on the Jaladutta. How deep, very, very deep sentiment of devotion to Krishna. He's not thinking this is mine, belongs to me. No, Prabhupada never taught like that. He's always thinking everything belongs to Krishna. Everything should be engaged for the service of Krishna. This body is a vehicle for serving Krishna, and everything I do should be humbly done, without selfishness, without maya, for the service of Krishna. This is the mentality of a pure devotee. This is what Prabhupada expects us to become. This is how Srila Prabhupada is expecting us to behave. I've often given the example of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. For those of you that are familiar, there is a Songs of the Vaishnava-acharyas that was compiled by Achyutananda Swami. And in that songbook, he's giving the translation of the song by Bhaktivedanta Thakur named Gopinath. Just do this exercise. Go read that song at some point on your time and look at these sentiments that Bhaktivedanta Thakur is expressing there. I mean, Bhaktivedanta Thakur is the most elevated devotee. Gora Shakti Swarupaya, the potency of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada often described how Bhaktivedanta Thakur was the pioneer of the Krishna Consciousness movement. He sent a book about Lord Chaitanya to McGill University, 1896, starting the seed of the movement, starting the seed of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. He was an amazing personality. How he was able to function as a judge in the British system, write books all night, produce all of these wonderful literatures, commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, commentaries on Chaitanya Charitamrita, publishing so many books, engaging in so much preaching with his Namhata program, and producing a son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So much, he was a devotional giant. But when you read that song, it is amazing how he's expressing himself. There's no false ego. He's not thinking, this is mine, belongs to me. No, he's expressing himself just like an ordinary person. But he was not an ordinary person. I was just reading the other day, in one purport, in one lecture, Prabhupada was saying, one should never think the spiritual master to be an ordinary man, although sometimes he behaves like an ordinary man. And this is the trick. Although Srila Prabhupada manifested his physical presence, his manifested presence among us, we could see him interact, we could see him walk, give lectures, he cooked, he showed everything by example. How to put on tilak, how to put on a dhoti, how to cook, how to clean, how to do kirtan, how to give lectures, morning walks, everything. How to speak to the public, how to speak to journalists, how to speak to parents, how to speak to heads of states. Prabhupada gave us all the example. And sometimes he behaved, people will say, just like an ordinary man. But unless one understands the actual position of a pure devotee, he will make a very bad mistake. Now, before we conclude, I'm going to read a little something. This is a little paper that was compiled by Narasimha Prabhu, Damagosh Prabhu, and myself, called The Unique Historical Position of Srila Prabhupada. This was produced by Hare Krishna Society in cooperation with the Prabhupada Disciples Association. I'm just going to read one quote about the exalted position of a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada states that the Nitya Siddha Parshadas, eternally liberated associates, are not ordinary living entities like us. The personality of Godhead Lord Vishnu descends to the material planets in his innumerable incarnations for particular purposes, and again he goes back to his own abode. When he descends, he is called an avatar, because avatar means one who descends. Neither the Lord himself nor his specific devotees who come to this earth are ordinary living entities like us. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter 13, text 47. Another important quote. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 13, text 50, 1, 13, 50. When there are too many asuras in the world, then it becomes a hell for those who are devotees of the Lord. Due to the growth of the asuras, the mass of people who are generally devoted to the Lord by nature, and the pure devotees of the Lord, including the demigods and higher planets, pray to the Lord for relief. And the Lord either descends personally from his abode or deputes some of his devotees to remodel the fallen condition of human society or even animal society. Such disruptions take place not only in human society, but also amongst animals, birds, or other living beings, including the demigods in the higher planets. Another important purport by Srila Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 14-15. Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 14 or 15. Generally, ever-liberated personalities live in the spiritual world as associates of Lord Krishna, and they are known as Krishna Parishad, associates of the Lord. Their only business is enjoying Lord Krishna's company. And even though such eternally liberated persons come within this material world to serve the Lord's purpose, they enjoyed Lord Krishna's company without stoppage. So this is a very important point, that we are dealing with a very powerful, very, very devoted, knowledgeable, pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. He has given us an ocean of transcendental gems in the form of his books, his conversations, his letters, his instructions. It's up to take whatever our capacity to follow his instruction, engage in the chanting, and dive deep into the ocean of transcendental mercy and knowledge that he has given. Hare Krishna. Vishwakarma Prabhu, kindly comment.
Thank you very much for that profound explanation of our philosophy from Lord Krishna and our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. This, of course, is the path of enlightenment for the conditioned soul that everyone has to follow if they want to understand the purpose of human life. And here in this particular verse, text 27, is Krishna's explanation of how we all take birth. So we're in a state of delusion. And I was looking up the meaning of the word delusion, a false belief or judgment about external reality, held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, occurring especially in mental conditions. He began to experience, for example, hallucinations, delusions, anxiety, and agitation, along with dizziness and nausea. So this is the state of existence for the conditioned soul that misidentifies himself with this world and everything that he perceives as his. Yaśodā was speaking so nicely about how people falsely identify I, me, and mine, that this is my house, this is my car, this is my dog, this is my money, thinking that they are the proprietor. But in fact, dear Mama, nothing is mine. So this delusional state comes due to material attachment. Attachment based on false ego. The false ego of the conditioned soul, ahankara. And this is what we're trying to overcome as individuals, is this false ego conception. And that we think that we are the controller. It's a very unfortunate state. It's called mental illness. And in the Western world, that nowadays, they talk about mental illness as one of the most serious diseases. Now, how do they treat mental illness? How do they treat it? Well, they treat it by drugs. They treat it not with knowledge, not with an understanding of how the mind works, how the mind is deluded, how we are hallucinating who we are. It's treated by drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. And this makes people sicker and sicker and sicker. So this is the mistake that Prabhupada is trying to rectify here, is to give people an understanding of how to deal with problems by understanding who you are, not this body, but the eternal servant of Krishna. So I see that Balaram Prabhu has a question. Prabhu, please bring forward your question. Maybe he left. Vinkat, do we have another question?
Looks like he typed the question.
Okay, could you read it for us?
We're not able to hear him.
That's fine. Just he typed it. Could you read the question for us?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So Bhagavad-gītā 10:10.
Yeah.
To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them understanding by which they can come to me. In this word for word, Prabhupada states in loving ecstasy, but in the translation he says, worship me with love. Any difference in these two? In the word for word it says, in loving ecstasy, Priti Purvakam. And if we do not come to this level of love, will we still gain the correct understanding to come to Krishna? So that's the question.
So I guess the real question is, how do we develop this love? What is the process that Srila Prabhupada has recommended to develop this love? I can appreciate the sentiment. In the material world, there is that sentiment about love. A man loves a woman, the woman loves a man, the mother loves her child, the father loves his children, the person loves his community, his family, his country, the human society. There's a lot of sentiment. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very nice to explain what is love. That love means to be attached to Krishna, to love serving Krishna. And everything else is called lust. Atmendriya pritivancha dari kamanam, Krishnendriya pritivancha dari premanam. Prema, or love of God, it means acting for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna. Now, how to do that? That is why we receive instructions from the bona fide Acharya. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. In the Chandogya Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada used to offer and quote this, that one who has taken shelter, who has accepted the bona fide Acharya, he can understand things as they are. Because this material body, regardless of how much you try to effort you put into getting satisfaction, by very nature, it is full of misery and full of suffering. So real love can only be achieved by engaging in the service of Krishna. And the systematic process, how to develop that love of God, that love of Krishna, is given by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, translated by our Srila Prabhupada as Nectar of Devotion. Ado Shraddha, first is faith. Tato Sadhu Sangha, associating with devotees, engaging in devotional service, getting properly initiated, following the principles. Then Anartha Nivriti, then the unwanted things in the heart will depart. This is also explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we hear Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. We see in the beginning of the Bhagavatam class, it is, we always read that verse, Srinvatam Svakata Krishna, that one who is a truthful, sincere devotee, Krishna will cleanse the heart. Nashta prayesha vabhadrishu nityam bhagavata seva, by engaging in the service of Srimad Bhagavatam and the pure devotees also. Then gradually all that is inauspicious will be cleared out. All this lust, anger, greed will get cleared out. So a devotee has to be very careful to follow the proper process. That is why Srila Prabhupada puts so much effort into these books. Because sometimes devotees become bewildered. They see that there's a problem in some devotional society or some group, and they say, oh, what is going to happen? Why is this? Why is that? Don't worry about that. Srila Prabhupada once made a statement that devotees may fail, the temples may fail, but my books will never fail. Unquote. Of course, provided that these books are not adulterated and changed and re-edited forever. Original first edition books. Then we can understand the philosophy. Everything becomes clear. I hope it helps. Hare Krishna.
Yes. The other thing, just quickly, we have another question here about love. As you so nicely explained, in the material world, love is based on lust. And the actual meaning of love, prema, is something much, much different. It's diametrically opposite. It has nothing to do with any kind of material situation that we might be in. This word prema. So the ability to love comes about through the cultivation of one's spiritual creeper, the plant of devotion. It doesn't automatically produce love when you grow a fruit, when you grow a plant. You have to very carefully take care of it and manicure it and protect it. And in this way, then eventually the internal process of Krishna consciousness becomes mature. And that is the blessing of the Lord based and of the pure devotee, based on the sincere application of the individual to this process of Krishna consciousness. So this love is a very advanced understanding. A lot of times we had a situation, Venkat, if you recall, there was a devotee who was saying, oh, you have to have love of the guru. Well, in the beginning, yes, you should have some kind of affection, but what is the mature understanding of love is based on service. For example, we had our godbrother Jayananda, who was, Prabhupada said when he left his body, that he went back to Godhead. Now, did Jayananda ever go around and say, oh, I'm in love with Krishna and Radha and all the pastimes of Vrindavan, articulating them like some great Mahatma? Actually, most of the time, he maintained this principle of service. That is the business of the devotee who is at the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness, to become servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord, and maintain that humble position of service throughout your life, and let Krishna bless you with the fruit of love of God. So here, this devotee, what was the question that Hari Prasad has? Venkat, what is his question?
Does devotional service also entail reading, listening, and chanting?
Well, I think you know that, Prabhu. Of course it does. This is fundamental. This is the nutritional food that you serve the plant of devotion with, right? To make it grow is hearing, chanting, part of the 9 processes of devotional service. They begin with Shravanam Kirtanam. Someone else with a question? Please. Michael in Montreal. Any questions? Okay, no problem.
I had a question, Prabhu.
Yes,
In
please.
this verse today, chapter or verse 27, the translation is, O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. So it says all living entities. So does that mean, all living entities are, born into delusion? So, I thought there are some who never come to this material world at all. I mean, most of the living entities are, just in the spiritual world, and just this material world is like a prison house where a few people come. So just that doubt I had.
Well, it's not really a doubt here. It's all living entities are born. That means all living entities within the material world are born. Whereas that's a specific group of living entities for that Krishna is trying to enlighten based on his teachings here in the Bhagavad-gītā, overcome by dualities of desire and hate, getting back to the point of mental health. What is mental disease, Venkat? What is it? That you think that you're this body and you're motivated by these desires, by material desires and hatred. And in this way, you fall into the delusion of material existence. You're lost in it. We have to become enlightened. Here we have another point here from Bhaktan Dr. Puja. Please read it for us, Venkat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So
Hari
my
Bol.
question is,
Yes.
what about those souls? Those are reading the books, those are provided by ISKCON. I mean, the original book's getting changed, but innocent people don't know this. Innocent people don't know this is not original. So if someone is reading modified books, so they can never get mercy from Prabhupada? So that's the question.
Very, very profound question. Thank you. Yaśodā, would you like to comment?
Well, this is an ongoing discussion which has been taking place for several years. A lot of devotees feel that when you adulterate the books, when you change the books, not only is it a disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction, it is also disrespectful to Srila Prabhupada. Now, let me give a little story of an experience I had in Vrindavan in June of 1977. This is with regards to what is called a rascal editor's conversation in Srila Prabhupada's garden in Vrindavan at the Krishna Balaram temple in Prabhupada's house. This occurred in the morning Bhagavatam class, and Srila Prabhupada raised the issue that there seemed to be 2 editions of one of his books. Now, Prabhupada made some criticism that they should not change anything, the next printing should be the original way. After everybody went back to their rooms or back to the temple, somewhere or other, I happened to be in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada took his, in India, they have these fans on the ceilings to cool the air. So they have these paperweight, it looks like a crystal ball, and he took his paperweight and slammed it on the desk. And he says, "You there," and he pointed his finger at me. He says, "You there, you tell the GBC, if they change one word from my books, it will spoil everything I have done. Now get out and write a letter. You go tell them." And I was so stunned, I was like frozen. And Prabhupada put his finger again, and he says, "I told you to get out and write a letter. Go." So he kicked me out. I wrote a letter and showed it to the late secretary, sent it to Satsvarup, never got a reply. Supposedly, I heard there's a reply somewhere. But the bottom line is, a couple years later, they ended up with thousands of changes to the Bhagavad-gītā, several changes. And the first 4 cantos of Bhagavatam currently have over 21,000 changes from the original first printed edition. Now, the argument may be made, well, we were just editing, trying to make sure the English is in proper form, trying to make sure there's no misspelling. But what happened is this is an excuse, because they start to introduce nonsense ideas. Take, for example, Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 4, text 34. Every devotee in this movement knows that verse, Tadvidi Pranipatena. At the end, the English translation that Srila Prabhupada gave, the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. They changed it to they have seen the truth. Who is they? When did Prabhupada ever say to change this? Nowhere. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the example of Srila Prabhupada's own statement in his original Chaitanya Charitamrita, the non-adulterated Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivedanta Thakur. They did not like this because it did not conform to their political philosophy on initiation. So they changed it. They deleted that and amended it to, I'm paraphrasing, that Jagannath Das Babaji accepted Bhaktivedanta Thakur or something like that. But why delete proper exact words? They even admitted that they changed this to conform to their understanding of initiation in ISKCON. Well, their understanding has been proven defective many times. So the problem with this change of the books, it is used as a pretext to insidiously change important points of philosophy. And this is not right. This should not be done. Prabhupada did not want this. As a matter of fact, that rascal editor conversation, Srila Prabhupada says, they cannot change anything. Who is they? He's referring to the GBC, the editors, the publishers, the translators, everybody that's involved in the publication of his books. He no longer wanted these books to be changed. And then also he says the next printing should be again the original way. Well, original way means the first printed edition. Now people may say, well, Prabhupada wanted an index, Prabhupada wanted the list of the Sanskrit verses, Prabhupada wanted a list of the Sanskrit characters. Well, this is all nice and good. That does not change the text. If you look in the Bhagavad-gītā, the original Bhagavad-gītā, not only in their handiwork did they change the text of the book, they even deleted Bhaktisiddhanta's picture and Bhaktivinoda's picture. Who authorized them to do that? When did Prabhupada ever say that these pictures should be deleted from his Bhagavad-gītā? Not only is it disrespectful and offensive, it totally changes what Srila Prabhupada wanted. But do they have regards for Prabhupada's instructions? How is it that a GBC of ISKCON and their legal representative in their collective wisdom filed in Washington, D.C., USA, a statement that Prabhupada was a worker for hire? Or excuse me, Prabhupada was an employee of your corporation? This shows you the delusion that these individuals have come under. Let me stop there before I go too far. Haribol.
Thank you very much. I wanted to further comment. I see we have some questions coming in. Just a quick comment from Dr. Puja on these changed books. It is unfortunate that these books have been changed. This does go on in many groups, as we all know. What to speak of the Bible, for example. How many different editions are there of the Bible? So much so that no one's really sure what Bible is authentic and which Bible isn't. So here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, we're noticing that even after just a few years of Prabhupada's disappearance, there have been so many different edits to these books. There's a copyright laws that do not permit this changing of books. but they've been unceremoniously changed for whatever motives by people interested in money and fame and position. Now, this is a reality. So unfortunately, these new people that do get books, this yellow Gita that they have, or these other books, they're innocent people, and it's unfortunate. It is very important that we as a group continue to propagate the truth of the matter to as many people as possible. We had a meeting last night with our Prabhupada Disciples Association media group, and we discussed exactly this point, that it's important for us to help people to get a proper understanding of our philosophy from the books that have not been changed. This is not a small matter, everyone, and it is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that we propagate this opportunity of truth to the general population of devotees, both inside and outside of ISKCON, that this is going to be made available to everyone, so that they don't have to go to these changed books. This is heresy, really. So be very careful. We've got a lot of points here. First we'll go to Ram Raghava. I see his hand is up, and then Vinkat. Then we'll go to some more questions on the chat. Ram Raghava, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for a wonderful class. My obeisances to all the devotees present. I had a question about one of the stages of devotional service on the path of bhakti. So it's explained that bhakti, the path of bhakti, consists of beginning with Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, and then Anartha Nivriti Shat. So that stage of getting rid of the unwanted things, unwanted habits, how long does that stage take, and what are the dangers in that stage, and how to look out for those?
Okay, I'll let Yaśodā answer. I can give a quick answer. The Prabhupada said you can, he mentioned it earlier in the Gita, you can become Krishna conscious in one moment, or it may take many lifetimes. So that's up to the individual, how they accept the teachings of Krishna and the spiritual master. It's up to you. It can be within a minute, or it may take many lifetimes. Yaśodā, Prabhu, please.
Yeah, this is a very important question. As far as how long it takes, it's up to the individual practitioner. You know, with the Acharya, the Guru gives the mercy. He gives the seed of bhakti, but it's up to the individual practitioner to avoid the offenses. When a person becomes initiated, Srila Prabhupada explains the 10 offenses. And these offenses, a devotee has to be conscious. When we chant and when we follow the process of bhakti, a person has to be conscious of his progress by how much he can avoid the offenses. And then the result of avoiding the offenses, there'll be a diminution of the influence of the kama, krodha, lobha, of lust, anger, greed, and gradually it's a simultaneous process. In other words, by regularly hearing the Bhagavatam, these unfortunate things in the heart becomes cleared, but a person has to keep up the process. It's just like cleaning a window. When you clean the window, you just can't clean part of the window. You got to clean the whole window. Otherwise, you won't be able to see properly. So similarly, the whole process, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes in his Shikshastakam, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam. It's like a simultaneous process that the miseries of material existence becomes removed by the mercy of Krishna. We increase our attachment to Krishna. Then Krishna very kindly removed these obstacles in the heart, but a person has to be careful. For example, if we study, I think one of the best descriptions to answer your question, Prabhu, is given in the Chaitanya Charitanya Madhya Lila, Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Rupa Goswami about the Bhakti Lata Bij. there's a purport where Srila Prabhupada explains that if one does not get the Bhaktivedanta beach from the spiritual master, instead he cultivates the social beach, the political beach, or the philanthropic beach, or the Jnana beach, or the Jnana beach. In other words, there's a lot of different seeds that one can get, but one has to hear the message of the Acharya and follow the instruction of the Acharya. And Prabhupada in that purport also very nicely describes what is that Bhaktivedanta beach, what is that seed of devotional service. He explains that the rules, the regulations, and all of these processes, this is all part of the process of bhakti. So one of these processes that Prabhupada has given is don't change the instruction. Don't manufacture ideas. Do not adulterate the teachings. How many times have we heard Srila Prabhupada say that? I mean, you're in a very good position to understand this because you're a physician and you know. I mean, right now in America, there's a fentanyl epidemic. People are getting these pills and they're mixing this with so many things. Some of them are even mixing these fentanyl to look like children's candy. Is it candy? Not really. It looks like it. It may have the appearance of it. And we see this with many devotees. They engage, they follow the process, they adopt the clothing, they shave the head, put on the tilak, do the kirtan. All of a sudden we're noticing, oh, what are they doing? What are they saying? Why are they changing the method of offering the bhoga? Why are they changing the method of Samkirtan? Why are they changing the method of deity worship? Why are they changing the book? Where are all these things coming from? This is all part of the offenses. One of the big offenses called Gurur Avagnya, to disobey the instruction of the Guru. Everybody is familiar, that letter from Prabhupada in the 1970s, the greatest danger to our movement will be when people will invent new ways of worshiping the deity. And all of these processes are a part of the worshiping of the deity. Why are they changing? Who authorized all these changes? This does not become bhakti. It becomes bhukti. Bhukti means sense enjoyment. I keep making a joke that we are part of the Rupa Anuga Sampradaya, followers of Rupa Goswami through Srila Prabhupada. We are not a Rupi Anuga Sampradaya. Rupee is the currency of India. We are not a Rupi Anuga Sampradaya to do anything, change anything, demigod worship, car pujas, concocted sahaja bhajans and mantras. This is not who we are. Prabhupada has given all instruction. If we follow, then we can get good results. And if people deviate from the standard, there'll be a problem. I hope it helps.
Yes, thank you very much. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna. My regards to your good wife. She was there last night. Very nice to see her and hear her.
Excellent.
Okay.
Vinkat, Prabhu, there are more comments in the chat. Can you read them moving down? We can just carry on with the discussion for a while longer here.
Okay. Bhakta Hari Prasad. How can devotees of ISKCON ever let these perpetrators who change the books run loose? These people even have the audacity to give lectures sitting on big Vyasasanas. So just a comment.
So what is the question?
That's not a
It's
question.
just a comment. It's just a comment, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me clarify that too. When you're in an organization, you have to work with the members of the organization. Otherwise, they remove you from the organization. So this is, you're in a particular position where you have no right to speak, really. And you become compromised. In other words, if you don't agree with what they do or what they say, then they'll kick you out. This was the case with us, for example, with many of us, where we were forced to bow down. I have a picture of myself startlingly bowing down in front of Kirtananda when he was in Toronto coming to the temple as the pure devotee. It was just absolutely unfortunate that we had to go through that. And then when you didn't comply, then they sent me letters. Oh, if you don't accept this person as a pure devotee, your future will not be good. So they were also threatening and all kinds of negative things. So compromise, especially in the ISKCON world, is going on constantly because of this, as Yashoda commonly refers to it as profit adoration and distinction. The pod disease. You want money, you better stay in the movement. If you want adoration, you better stay in the movement. If you want distinction. And a lot of these people, they feel deprived, that they've never had any kind of recognition in the material world. So they get into this spiritual culture and it becomes a great source for their false ego to celebrate. Tattva Darshana, I see a question from him.
Yeah.
Your hands up, Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhu, like I have a question regarding like one morning walk I was hearing day before yesterday. So just I will read it out and I will ask the question.
What was the question, Prabhu? Your microphone or your speaker is filtering other sound. It's wavy. Go ahead. What's the question?
Yes, Prabhu. So Prabhu, like 1 minute, I was reading that. My question was like, this is morning work from August 11, 1976, Tehran. So real business of human life is to take responsibility of spiritual advancement. So if one remain brahmachari, he has no disturbances in that responsibility. But if he become a grihastha, that disturbance is there. You cannot take wholeheartedly the spiritual responsibility. So I would like to know what does it mean like wholeheartedly?
I'll give a quick answer, having lived through the Grihastha ashram myself. It just means this, that there are so many responsibilities that a Grihastha has, and it becomes a refocus of your time. Wholeheartedly means, in this sense, would be, as a brahmachari, your time is fully occupied with spiritual activities. For example, if you're living in the temple, you can be full-time cooking in the kitchen. And by the way, without salary. You know, it was when we came to Krishna Consciousness, nobody was given a salary for their service. Nowadays, you get paid in the ISKCON movement for doing service. But wholeheartedly meant you got up, you did your service, not expecting anything in return. And therefore you could concentrate solely on the service of the spiritual master without any interference. So when you're a grihastha, you're going to have to, once you get married, then you'll have a family, because that's the way it works out in most cases. And then with that, there's all kinds of financial responsibilities. You have to put your children through school. And, that means they need clothes, they need all kinds of items of necessity to be able to fit into the society that they're in, that you've created for them. So wholeheartedly means you become diverted in many ways in other services. Like, for example, when you're at work, you can't have a kirtan when you're in the office. If you do, they may tell you to leave, go away, because we're busy with trying to sell these items or objects. So that's all it means. It becomes a difficulty, and one should work towards getting out of that situation as they progress in life. That's natural. Like Prabhupada, for example, eventually took sannyas. We're not recommending people take sannyas, but at the same time, we're saying that you have to move to a stage of detachment as your responsibilities, as your children grow up and your other commitments are minimized, then you can try to stay out of involvement in the material world. Like people may come to you all the time. Oh, I want to do this business with you. I get that all the time. People call me up. Oh, let's do this business. Let's do a real estate. Let's do this kind of a promotion or this kind of ticketed event or whatever field there that I have some expertise from the past in. Oh, do this. And do I want to do that? Buy another piece of real estate? No, thank you. And because once you get involved in these affairs, you get entangled. That's exactly what the material world is. It's a world of entanglement. We're trying to become aloof from that. So this Grihastha ashram can be somewhat entangling in the sense that you have to shift responsibility because there are duties that you have to administer. Yaśodā, please.
Yeah, this is a very important point because ultimately the other side of this is that Prabhupada has made comments that there are many devotees, even members of the Panchatattva, Advaita-Acārya, and others, they were Grihasthas. Bhaktivedanta Thakur was a Grihastha. Narottam Das Thakur in one of his songs says, Griye Vanitako Sadahari Balitako. That whether you're a Grihastha or a sannyasi, just engage in always chanting the name of Krishna. And this is where I say, I very much like the point that Vishwakarma Prabhu made, but Srila Prabhupada, his structure, his system, his practical system of engaging in such a wonderful way that ultimately, whether you're a householder, a sannyasi, or whatever, you can engage in Krishna because with this modern technology, put it to your advantage. You put it to your advantage. But the idea, even if one is a Grihastha, he still has certain fundamental principles to follow, separate from the working and everything. You've got to chant. You've got to follow. Prabhupada says that the Grihastha should be engaged in deity worship. The Grihastha should give charity. There's a lot of things a person has to do. And it's important to note that in 1977, on January 7th in Bombay, Prabhupada said no more sannyas. Prabhupada no longer wanted to introduce this sannyas order. So for whatever reason, because there had been many problems, Prabhupada had to stop it. Now, the ISKCON Society, for whatever reason, they introduced a lot of things after Srila Prabhupada's departure that were not in line with Srila Prabhupada's instructions, but that was one of the instruction. And along with the other instruction of Srila Prabhupada in August of 1977, that our society should introduce this system of varnashram, self-sufficient farms, so that all the devotees can be practically engaged. The Krishna Consciousness movement can engage everybody if it's structured properly. So whether one is a Grihastha, sannyasi, vanaprastha, ultimately it doesn't matter if one is fixed on the service of Krishna. But that means chanting. A person has to chant, a person has to hear. Use the system. Use this modern technology to your advantage. I remember I was working as a paralegal. I would get up 3:30 in the morning, do some chanting, do some puja, worship the shalagrams, and then I would put one of these little things and do my work and hear Prabhupada. At noon I would go chant some more, listen to Prabhupada chanting, come back in the evening, more chanting, more study of chant. So there's a lot of ways to engage in hearing and chanting. Use this modern technology, especially with these phones. You can, on YouTube, you can listen to Prabhupada chanting japa, Prabhupada chanting the samsara prayers. I mean, just like yesterday, I went and I was doing some study on the Purusha Sukta. This is a prayer that Prabhupada recommends should be chanted when people do deity worship. And there's wonderful chant of it. You can actually listen to it on the internet. You can also get the translation. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can listen to Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada's conversations. There's a website called causelessmercy.com where they've got all of Prabhupada's bhajams, so many of Prabhupada's lectures. There's wonderful information available. It's just a matter of putting our mind to it. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna nisevaya. Some way or other, fix the mind upon Krishna. I hope it helps. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we have
Thank you very
a,
much.
we've got a quote here from Tartmadarshana, Real Business of Human, from Srila Prabhupada on a walk in Tehran, August 11th, 1976. So he's referring to this. Real business of human life is to take responsibility of spiritual advancement. So if one remains brahmachari, he has no disturbance in that responsibility. But if he becomes a grihastha, that disturbance is there. You cannot take wholeheartedly the spiritual responsibility in the morning walk. So many different quotes. You know, there are hundreds of different quotes from different points of view to give us guidance on how to stay steady in Krishna consciousness. The most important thing is never give up. Keep going. Don't stop. No matter what your situation is, keep going. Keep chanting. Keep studying. Keep reading. And, you know, with all of us, we're all in this material world together. And we, through our association, we'll be able to help each other make that advancement. Vinod, any other quotes here for questions you see?
No, I don't see any other questions.
Anything else from the group this morning?
We have a hand raised.
Yes, who is that?
Agata.
iPhone James. Oh, Agata. Where are you, Prabhu? Agata.
Hare Krishna, I am in Poland, technically.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Good to hear from you.
Please accept my obeisances. And I have a question. Something happened today. So, a friend of mine, she told me that she had placed a picture of Srila Prabhupada in her room. And she wanted to see it and maybe offer a candle, a fruit. She is very young and innocent, and in her heart, the seed of bhakti is growing.
Yes.
And someone who is very close to her told her that that isn't right, because that's the room that she's sleeping in, and she shouldn't keep that picture in her room. So I know about deities, but what about picture? Did Srila Prabhupada said anything about this, and what is your view on that?
Okay, I'll give a quick answer and I'll ask Yaśodā to respond. Mataji, I have all kinds of pictures in my room of transcendental nature. So, you know, I've never heard any rules about that in the room. How old is this person, the young lady?
Well, she's a teenager, and her boyfriend, he is also a teenager, but he is very much involved in the ISKCON movement, and he's worshiping his guru. You know, so that's what he told her, like, you shouldn't keep that picture here. So she have put it in her shelf. And when I heard this story, I just felt, wow, this didn't feel right.
It's just some concoction by this Prabhu. It's just irrelevant.
Okay.
You know, we should encourage each other and to keep our atmosphere spiritual or transcendental. So I don't know. It seems like to be some kind of concoction. Yaśodā?
Yeah. With regards to keeping pictures, this is encouraged by Srila Prabhupada many times. As a matter of fact, in the history of the ISKCON movement, as it grew in America and Europe, Srila Prabhupada at one point said that they can open temples by keeping a picture of the disciplic succession and a picture of the Pancha Tattva, because the picture is considered also non-different than Krishna. In the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava that a person can worship a deity, but the deity can also be formed of wood and earth and fire, not fire, but metal, and also pictures. It's understood that the pictures are also considered sacred. Prabhupada said one time that he was present in his picture. Krishna is also present in his picture. But it's also a matter of being a little tactful with individuals who may be involved with the ISKCON organization. We don't want to insult anybody. We don't want to offend anybody. If a person is involved in doing what they consider to be their mode of worship, we don't need to castigate them or insult them. At the same time, if a person wants to worship Krishna by using pictures of Panchatattva or Lord Krishna or the great acharyas, like the Goswamis and the previous acharyas, that is also there. I mean, I don't know exactly what the situation in that house is. I mean, my house here, I have a special altar with shalagrams, Govardhan Shilas, and all kinds of pictures of acharyas. I have pictures in the room here, but that is different. I don't know exactly what the situation is and how to solve that situation.
Well, no, the point was that the Prabhu was saying, that's where you sleep, so you shouldn't have a picture of Krishna in your room where you sleep.
Well, you should not put your feet towards a picture. Usually you're not supposed to do that. That's considered offensive. And if the picture on the wall and it's causing a disturbance, you can, I don't know, maybe you can carve it with a cloth, but generally, unless you put your feet towards the picture, but it's not a good idea to be naked before a picture. That is not proper.
Yeah, that's a different issue. No, but as far as decorating your rooms, or these are pictures, and you follow these various rules of behavior in front of the picture. But at the same time, it seems it's just speculative on this person. I've never heard anything like that. Janice Priya in Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada. Yeah, just Yasoda-nanda Prabhu just answered what I was going to say.
What was that? What were you going to say? Tell us.
If you have a picture in a bedroom and that picture is worship to some degree, like it's offer incense or whatever is part of the worship, then that picture should definitely not be, the feet of the person shouldn't be facing that picture at night. And if possible, it should be covered just with a little cloth. And also we shouldn't walk around naked in front of these pictures. This is Krishna and Prabhupada, we wouldn't do that in real life. So it's just Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is not complicated. It's just a matter of, you just have to have common sense, and just be respectful. Just like all the temples have a cupola on top of where the deities are, so the people don't walk on top of where the deities are underneath. Out of respect.
One solution with this is that in the room, you can have a bookshelf where you put the pictures there on the different shelves, and at night you could cover them with a cloth. Of course, if you have them on the wall, that's something else. But it's a matter of adjustment and to use proper common sense with this.
Yeah, common sense. And people should be gentle. The fact that, first of all, you made a comment, Mataji, about her boyfriend or whatever being a disciple of one of the gurus in the unauthorized system that they've developed through the GBC. You got to expect this kind of thing to go on. But the main thing is always just be conscious of having respect at all times in everything that you do. Here we have a comment, Vinkat from Balaram. Maybe you could read it out, see what his comment is.
The comment is, in the Bhaktivedanta manner and in Vrindavan, Prabhupada has pictures of both the deities and his guru in his bedroom, and his feet are towards the picture also.
Is that the current setup? I'm wondering, or was this the setup when Prabhupada was physically present? That I don't know. Balaram, do you know if it's if this is a new setup by the pujaris there or the administrators? It's we don't know.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, great, because my mic wasn't working before. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the Vrindavan setup, the temple, but the Bhaktivedanta Manor, Prabhupada's bedroom there, is as it was when Prabhupada was there.
Okay. Okay, so
I want to tell a little story here.
Go ahead, please.
In 1969, when Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, and this is just, let's just take it for what it is. A devotee told me a story, one of Prabhupada's servants, that Prabhupada walked in the kitchen one time and asked the devotees, "What are you cooking?" And devotees said, "We're cooking halva, we're cooking sweet rice puris." And Prabhupada says, "Give me a spoon." He took a spoon and he tasted the halva. And the devotee said, "Prabhupada, it's not offered." Prabhupada says, "I know, Krishna likes this halva." So Prabhupada can do things certain times that a neophyte devotee should not do. In other words, Prabhupada is a transcendental paramamsa. Like the one time when Palika and another devotee asked Srila Prabhupada whether or not the wigs that they were working for Radha Krishna were proper. And Prabhupada's reply says, yes, Krishna likes it like that. Now, a neophyte devotee or even a Madhyamadikari should not try to imitate that. Prabhupada was a very special devotee, a very super empowered pure devotee. And he did a lot of things. Let me give you an example. In a Chaitanya Charitamrita, and some of you have read this, I know. There is a place where it says that a devotee who does deity worship should not use clothing, sewn clothing when you do the deity. You wear a dhoti, but you wear a chadar or something. Don't wear sewn clothing. But if you do that, you're going to take 7 lives as a leper. When you look at the pictures of Prabhupada opening the Krishna Balaram temple, everybody has seen Prabhupada offering the fan, offering the incense, and he's wearing a kurta, which is sewn cloth. Are we going to conclude Prabhupada's going to take 7 births as a leper? No. In other words, Srila Prabhupada did certain things according to time, place, and circumstances that we can't imitate. We can't. There are certain rules in the Shastra, like being naked in front of a picture, being naked in front of the deities, and not sleeping, not putting the feet in front of the deities. This is common knowledge. But Srila Prabhupada was beyond these rules and regulations. That is the meaning of a paramamsa. He is not a neophyte. Now, that is not a license for everybody to start doing things whimsically or independently, but it's just a few angles like that. I hope it helps.
One final point I wanted to make on this.
Wait a minute. Let Balaram, he was going to make another comment. We'll get
go
back
ahead.
to
I'm
it.
sorry.
No, it's great. But I mean, that's why I can't really judge it because I wasn't there in Prabhupada's time. But I've been in many places where I had to sleep in the temple. They asked me to do like security sleep at night. And wherever you turn your feet, there's pictures of the deity, or Prabhupada Murti. There's no place where you can really say,
Okay, I've got it. Just before Jonas Priya, I wanted to mention we were in Radhakunda, and Prabhupada had given us permission. I think it was 73, Yasoda, wasn't it? Yeah. 73 was the first time that I had gone to Radhakunda. And we went as a group. There was about 100 of us there, and we were given permission to bathe, to take a bath in Radhakunda. So I mean, all of us thought, "Oh, okay, let's take a bath." So everybody had their bathing suits. They started diving in and cannonballing into the Radhakunda water. All the residents were looking at us. It was all a fence. Bathe means you take a lota and you pour the water over yourself, and you cleanse yourself that way, not by swimming. I remember I was swimming across Radhakunda. I thought I was going to drown. I thought I was going to go down there. I just kept dog paddling to get. So we got back. Prabhupada said, well, this was an offense. But it was like the mother have the child on her laps, Radharani's lap, and then the mud goes on the lap. So it was a forgivable offense. So a lot of times offenses, if the intent is not there to offend, you're just not in complete knowledge of what to do, then we have our common sense. We're not trying to be, sinful people in front of the deities or Krishna. We just made mistakes. Innocent. Yes, Ram Raghava. Prabhu, I see your hands up.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Regarding Srila Prabhupada eating unoffered food in the kitchen, I'm sure either you or Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu could give more details, but I recall a pastime in the Ramayana where there was a woman named, I think her name was Shabari, and she was offering berries to Lord Ram, and she was tasting them first and then offering them to Lord Ram. And I believe Lakshman didn't like that, but Lord Ram accepted it anyway because she was doing it out of love. So maybe you could give more details. But yeah, the point of we can't imitate such great devotees because they have a stage of love that we don't have yet.
Good point. Very good point.
Jonas, excellent. Jonas Priya?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, yeah. In Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada walked in the kitchen and they were cooking chapatis, and there was one big puffy one, just butter. And Prabhupada grabbed it and took a bite, and then immediately turned around and he said, I could do this, but you could not do this.
That's easy to understand.
There's another story.
And the final on the picture thing, to me, it's wherever I looked, in my room, in my house, no matter where I'm sitting, I want to be able to be looking at a picture of Krishna or Prabhupada. So I take the risk of the offense that could be there just for the benefit of the picture being there. To me, that's more important. I might be wrong.
You're Prabhu, you're a super devotee. There is no offense. We would be honored.
There's a story. When I first got to India, there's a story that devotees were telling me. When Prabhupada got to India in 1970, in India, when you take a train between Delhi and Calcutta or Delhi and Bombay, it can be quite long. And devotees in those days did not have the kind of facilities that they have now. They basically lived in some dharmshalas or things like that. So devotees had not arranged for any prasadam from Prabhupada. So in India, when you get to a train station, they have different vendors. They have a little cart. They'll cook some puris and little potatoes, and for a very minimal price. Of course, the potatoes are laced with all kinds of spices and everything, but you'll survive. So Prabhupada got to a train station and he put a couple of rupees out of his pocket, gave it to the vendor, and he gave him some puris and potatoes. And devotees looked at Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, this is not prasadam. And Prabhupada's reply says, do you think I'm such a fool that I will have to starve because you have not arranged to cook any prasadam? What do you think like that? So, but another point is Prabhupada in many of these instances told the devotees, don't try to imitate. Prabhupada could do that, but we, in our situation, should not do that. So, just a comment. I see that Tattva Darshana in Jaipur also has his hand up. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have one question regarding deity worship. So like as you said in the CC, it is mentioned that while one is doing deity worship, one should not wear the stretched clothes. So one should wear chadar and do. So is that rule same applicable to the deity worship while we are doing to Srila Prabhupada, while during Guru Puja or like dressing the Prabhupada like that?
Yes.
Actually, and some devotees says that to Prabhupada we can wear stretched clothes and do, there is no problem like that. Some used to say. So just to have clarification on that, I was asking you, Prabhu. Thank you.
I've also spoken to some pujaris, head pujaris that were at the Krishna Balaram temple, where in the winter it got very cold. And with the marble floors, some devotees were getting sick because it was very, very cold. And they asked Srila Prabhupada whether or not they could wear a kurta when it was very cold to do the deity worship. And Prabhupada told them they could do that. So Prabhupada made many different adjustments, but generally it's, if one is able to, is to follow the proper standard. The point is that there's a lot of different rules and regulation and specific instructions that are given in numerous shastras and scriptures. The point is the pure devotee is the one who is qualified to make these adjustments according to time, place, and circumstances. Because what happened during Prabhupada's manifested presence, a lot of people, especially in Bengal with the Gaudiya Math, were criticizing Prabhupada. Oh, your danda is too long. A sannyasi should not wear silk. A sannyasi should not have cufflink in his shirt. The color of the dhoti is not correct. Men and women should not be living together in the temple. The women should not be doing puja. And there was so many objections. And their basic point, well, this is not in the tradition. Many of these arguments started to come in 1973 after several members of the Gaudiya Math had protested against us calling our Srila Prabhupada by the title Prabhupada. They did not like that. So this argument that this is not in a tradition, that's not a tradition, that was going on even during Prabhupada's manifested presence on so many levels. But a pure devotee is beyond this. The empowered Acharya knows how to make adjustment according to time, place, and circumstances to spread and preach Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Vinkat Prabhu, are you there? Could you read the pastime from Bhakti Hari Prasad on the chat?
Sure. There is a pastime where Srila Prabhupada was offered a big date fruit by an Indian person. Srila Prabhupada had a bit of the fruit and gave it to the devotee who was driving him to the Indian person.
Yeah, so this demonstrates again Prabhupada is... the pure devotee is more honored by Krishna than anyone else in the universe. It's Krishna is always blessing his pure devotee. We're going to finish up here with what happened was I was in Detroit in 1971 and I was led into the room as Bhakta Bob. And Prabhupada was for darshan. Some of us were let in for various reasons. And they brought a large plate of prasadam to Prabhupada. And he took a little bit off the plate and sampled it. And then he sat there and he offered the prasadam to all of us that were sitting in the room. And no one moved. We were all completely paranoid, frightened to move. And Prabhupada looked at us and he said like this, "You should never be shy when doing business or taking prasadam." And we all jumped up and went over, and each of us grabbed a small section of the plate and enjoyed some prasadam from our pure devotee spiritual master. So with that, we'll leave today this discussion to the kirtan. And before we finish, I wanted to announce that we are encouraging everybody. I see so many people here today. We have a large number staying on for the class. Where this has become more of an istagosti after the hour and a half, and enjoy the discussions about Prabhupada, our guru, and Krishna consciousness together in our association of devotees. Please promote this to other people to join us. This is very important, that we expand the number of people. The Dr. Puja had mentioned that, some people, they don't get the books, they don't have a chance to really get the proper information. We have this facility now in the Prabhupada Disciples Association. We've created these classes. They're 3 times a week. There'll be a Bhagavatam class tomorrow. Please invite people to join us and become part of this army of Prabhupada disciples. Yes, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu.
Just as a last comment, I wanted to
Please.
make a comment about some of the pictures. I'm seeing here from Janas Priya. He has a beautiful picture of Srila Prabhupada smiling and opening his book. Shyamasunder in Australia has a beautiful picture of Prabhupada smiling. I see Vijay Pandit in Italy. Beyond his good web, Gopika, there's a beautiful picture of Krishna. And then there's Ram Raghava. He has a beautiful picture of his altar. It's just very, very sweet and very enlivening to see all of this beautiful, beautiful scenes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Well, it's a transcendental Zoom meeting. That's what it is. And all of us here are circles of influence in where we live. And so we want to take that influence out and share it in our local communities. Let's expand the Prabhupada Disciples Association attendance. We have a very small number of subscribers in our Prabhupada TV, which is very disappointing. How many subscribers do we have, Vinkat Prabhu, right now?
On YouTube, 250.
Yeah. So let's make an effort, everyone, to get people to come to the classes. Let's increase the subscriptions. Some people have 1 billion subscribers to what they do. And what we do is very important for everyone in the human society. So let's continue to promote this. And what are our number of followers in the Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page today, Vinkat?
4,300.
4,000. So that's expanding and at a very rapid rate. This is very encouraging. But let's continue to proliferate the Prabhupada Disciple Association membership so that people do get a proper understanding of what is this philosophy that Prabhupada delivered to us. Yes, Yaśodā Prabhu, please.
One last comment. Tomorrow,
yes,
on the Sunday, the 26th of March, is the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. I've already sent an email this morning, and we'll be sending more emails about some details of Ramanujacharya's life and Prabhupada's comments about Ramanuja. This is the Mayapur time. I don't know if it's anywhere else. And next Thursday on the 30th of March is Ram Navami, the appearance day of Lord Ramachandra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Oh, and for all of us that are on the call, Vinkat, could you put up Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu's email address for us?
And the website addresses, the addresses for the websites.
Yeah, put them up. And then if you want to get the emails from Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, which he sends out throughout the day and week, you'll get many interesting emails from him on Krishna Consciousness. And it'll be a source of enlivenment for you as we continue to feed the creeper of devotional service with association from the devotees here in our group. So put it up there. Yaśodā 1008 at Yahoo. I hope you don't mind, Yaśodā.
That's quite fine. And if he has the websites, that would also be good. We have 2 websites where people can see many wonderful articles.
Yeah, so write that down, everyone, or you can memorize it. It's not too hard. Yaśodā 1008 at yahoo.com. And then we also want to put up the address for the YouTube channel so that people have that. So you know, share that in your social networks. Share it. Keep spreading this. Don't stop. Push it. Push, push, push. Let's see. Venkat's busy trying to gather it up for us.
Yeah, I'm just typing it in.
Thank you very much. There we are. So there's the Prabhupada YouTube, our YouTube Prabhupada Disciples. So they can do that. Just Google that in, and here are the other ones. KrishnaConsciousnessMovement.com, PrabhupadaNugasWorldwide.org. So all kinds of contact information. And if you want to reach us, send us emails, and then we'll circulate it. You can get a hold of Venkat too. Venkat, put up your email, Prabhupada Disciples email. Get a hold of Venkat if you want to have him share anything for you or for friends or people that want to get involved or you think should be involved. Let's see this expand as we move forward. There it is, Venkat at PrabhupadaDisciples.com. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Let's listen to the Prabhupada Kirtan from the early 60s. So pure and sweet and simple and beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas of the Prabhupada Disciples Association.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. You're all stars.